Hi everyone, today is Sunday, January 26th, and this morning I slept in a little bit and then got breakfast, um, did some writing in my notebook and was thinking of ideas that I want to put together for a book. Um, this is gonna have um, more and more messages and either from people or from the universe. Um, a lot of friends that I follow who have also written books and published books, and I've bought their books and read them, um, and so yeah, kind of. I want to write one. I want to publish one. Um, so I'm like more and more decided about that, and especially since when I look at all these emails that I've written over the almost 8 years, there's over like 2,800 of them. Um, so this kind of writing every day, and more or less every day, um, and reflecting on so many different topics and things that have been on my mind for 30 years of learning languages and uh, uh, 25 years of teaching and uh, this the group, the organization, living abroad for um, 23 years. It's just like when I add up all those different things, it's like there's so many experiences, so many things that I remember, so many things that I mention here and there to students in classes about insights of things I've learned over the years. And so um, in presentations I've made for different conferences. So there's there's bits and pieces scattered here and there everywhere, and lessons that I've taught to students, emails that I've written, presentations I've made, just conversations I've had over the years. Just had to kind of find a thread, some kind of a guiding thread that kind of connects a little bit of this narrative. Um, and there certainly seems to be two layers for language learning. What's obviously on the surface, learning a language, um, the kind of Duolingo um, level, um, not to be too sarcastic with that comment, but uh, there's also a deeper level of kind of using language learning as a tool for reflection, meditation, self discovery, questioning one's culture and one's identity, and maybe embracing potentially other aspects, cultural aspects that we're not aware of. Um, those are things that fascinate me even further. And um, uh, so putting all of that into a book outline of kind of maybe chapter headings and trying to follow that. It is it is challenging. It is something also that I have used, as you can see, I've got like post-it notes again. This time, some very short mantras and things I want to reflect on, but um, post-it notes have been helpful when I've been brainstorming presentations. I still have stuff over here, but in terms of letting ideas kind of connect one to another, or just, post-its. I think it's something I've seen from um, Pat Flynn when he's done some workshops for brainstorming courses, and then kind of doing a brain dump, and then doing that again, doing it again, go for a walk, and then kind of let stuff connect. And oh, I should have written that down. And so kind of letting things simmer, filter, um, that kind of process. So with uh, um, with a book, it's gonna take me a couple iterations to see kind of what goes into that table of contents, and going back through different emails, and there is a 30-day process that has its own kind of start of the month, middle of the month, end of the month, and kind of getting ready, some sense of renewal for the next month and celebrating that beginning. And this goes on like 12 months a year. And more or less, we've got 3 months per season, three months of winter, of spring, of summer, fall, and it it doesn't exactly match right on the calendar days, but more or less these 3 months, 3 months, 4 periods, 4 quarters, um, and with all the emails I've talked about, there are multiple years there, and I can approach this from different angles of kind of the language learning process in general, topics that are related to certain dates, historical dates in the year that could be something to reflect on, when something was discovered or someone famous, or also events that award ceremonies, events that happen periodically or throughout the year. So there have been topics about the Oscar ceremony, the Nobel Prize, the Pulitzer Prize, also the events like uh, the Olympics, the Super Bowl, the World Cup, um, those kinds of events, um, and things that are trending in the news, or um, so there's uh, there's a lot to to always talk about, and and there's also a lot of research that I've been doing over the years for habit formation. More recently, even further, the cognitive neurosciences, that all the research that goes even further beyond some of the uh, kind of New York Times kind of best-selling books, but like a lot of the research that is behind that, um, that maybe somebody writes about it on a blog, but somebody else is actually in a research institute and putting people in a MRI machine, and noticing some details on what happens when people are behaving and thinking, and processing some ideas related to habits and mindset and planning and goal setting and those kinds of things. And um, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. There's always more and more to research. I'm never. I mean, sometimes it feels like I'm at a loss of words, but there's always more and more to keep learning. which is what I find fascinating with language learning and writing about language learning, writing about teaching and languages. Just they're they're everywhere around us. They're definitely part of who we are. They're how we express ourselves. And, um, even a lot of the nonverbal um, communication uh, that is still kind of ways to verbalize that. And uh, but yeah, putting something into a book uh, and finding. I mean, it's tricky because I'm always writing with these emails, yet talking about speaking. So it like it, nothing is ever like 100% complete. There's always something missing. There's no quite. I mean, even video here, if I am combining what I'm saying, my pronunciation, my body language, my gestures, my um, tone of voice, and uh, even starting this recording right now with a little bit of music that I've been working on. Um, it's never 100% me. Uh, you don't know what's in my head. You don't know what I've written down in front of me or and on a table. There's always something that's missing, but it's there's something still very beautiful in that incomplete, imperfect uh, um, aspiration to communicate an idea, and we will never fully. It's never going to be. It's 100% essence. It's impossible, and even if I did manage to express an idea in its totality, somebody listening, somebody reading, they will maximum get a partial understanding. It it's 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 meaningful and frustrating at the same time. The kind of we spend our entire lives communicating with other people, communicating to ourselves, writing our ideas down, and thinking and trying to um, manifest those ideas, turn them into something, and do something with them, or overthink, and just so our minds are filled with ideas and thoughts and words and things we put on paper, things we say out loud, and yeah, we spend our entire lives communicating. Yet at the same time, it's always incomplete. It's always partial. Um, yeah, I'm probably going to read a little bit more Wittgenstein of just, I mean, without going to so much the extreme where you kind of just get kind of overwhelmed with just I don't know. At some point, communication is a bit futile or uh, just it, because it's never going to be complete. That you could get very desperate and just give up, not even try. Or I don't want to go that way. I do want to stay kind of in that middle ground where I can explore those topics yet find some way for uh, my students and friends and colleagues and peers to find something of interest in this text that can help them as a teacher, help them as a learner, help them helping other learners, and um, so I will need to kind of find that middle ground uh, and perhaps hint a bit at you know the absurdity sometimes of language where our thoughts just contradict our intentions. And I mean that can be fun. There's wordplay, there's sarcasm, there's jokes and things, but uh, I mean it's or paradoxes and things, and I do find amusement in those ideas as well. Um, mm, yeah, I, I have still a lot to reflect on with that book. Um, I feel ready for this now. In the years past, it has been something I put out there and say, "Oh, I'm going to do it." But recently, as I have come to grips with the I didn't want to do that. The concept of attachment theory and recognizing how sometimes these ideas that I put out there and say I'm going to do that, I want to do that, that it's not it's not isn't it isn't necessarily ADHD where like oh I can't start something. I can start things. It's that like following through, finishing it because I can get distracted. I can't start another thing and then go like, oh, that other thing that I started. Oh, yeah, finishing it. Oh, I have to. Um, so sometimes in this attachment theory, um, this avoidance where something gets abandoned, neglected, um, there I've had a lot to reflect on recently, and I'm trying to be more intentional about starting and finishing things. And I've recently come across a songwriter who has been very prolific with the songs that I've come across, and um, at the same time, some things lead me to believe that there might be some tendencies as well to kind of uh, move around and want freedom and to kind of a lot of kind of moving around. Yet for the music, something in there has been like, if I start something, I must finish it, and that is such a foreign concept for me. I've constantly left my doors open and left things just open to well, I could get more information. So making decisions, like if I have to buy a new computer or something or go on a trip or something, I will be completely overwhelmed with too many choices, too many options, uh, and just get frustrated to the point where I just like, okay, that one, where I did all this research just to get to the point where I give up and I just pick one randomly, that I didn't quite find something that just really tips the scales to the point where it's like, oh, obviously that one is best. Like I end up back at square one where all of this information that I gathered, all this overthinking that I gathered, performed, just leads me back to the starting point where it's all equal. It's all arbitrary. So the sooner I get to that idea, just no matter what I choose, I mean, if I choose one, there's 49 that I didn't. And um, so this idea, like if I start a song, they're like, oh, there's like 500 ways I could develop that. So I don't do any. Um, it frustrates me, but I am trying to work on that and try to go like, okay, whatever I do, it's arbitrary. Like, but there is some kind of intuition, some feeling sometimes. So trying to trust that intuition. Um, and so, yeah, with music, trying to be more intentional with finishing something also letting some of these ideas kind of meander a little bit to kind of percolate and filter and simmer. Uh, and I'm sure for for a book, the process, the thought process will also have those intuitions pop up and ideas go in different ways um, and just let that kind of flow, but still perhaps give myself some kind of a deadline so I don't let this go endlessly, which is a tendency. And also, I let things kind of balloon where if I start with five, then I want to get it keeps adding to the point where it's like 50 ideas and I give up. So um, I need to be careful not to let that happen where I don't know, this table of contents balloons into like 100 topics or something like that. That's not intended. That could be divided into like a second book or something. Um, because I imagine that with everything I've written, that already has been possibly more than, I don't know, 8 books that could be, um, how many words I've written on a daily basis, like 300 words or something, and then times close to 8 years, that's a lot. Um, there is some repetition. There are some things I come back to from time to time again and kind of revisit those ideas and look at it from a different angle or a little bit more depth to it. Um, but yeah, it's been a little bit like uh, a, a daily column in a newspaper. So yeah. Um, this is more than 20 minutes me talking in English. I'm gonna move on to the other languages here. Hola a todos. Hoy es el 26 de enero, es el domingo. Y hoy en la mañana estaba desayunando, escribiendo con mi cuaderno y pensando en ideas para un libro. Entonces ya llevo más de no sé, 30 años con los idiomas extranjeros, 25 años con ah, la enseñanza de los idiomas, 23 años viviendo en el extranjero, ah, conversaciones que he tenido con mucha gente, muchas clases que he dado con los alumnos y anécdotas y aprendizajes. Entonces, quiero compartir estas cosas en un lugar. No van a ser todos, pero como los principales que han ayudado a muchos alumnos y con el aprendizaje en términos generales de un idioma y más profundo, temas que me interesan mucho en la reflexión de las culturas, la identidad, los hábitos, la disciplina, esas cosas que aprendo a través de esta como reflexión diaria. Am, y quiero formular un tabla de contenido y como tener una lista razonable de temas y no sentirme como agobiado de como demasiados temas, pero también ideas um, que son parte de ese proceso. He visto unos libros de otros creadores que sigo en línea, y he comprado sus libros y eso es muy inspirador ver que hay tanta gente creativa y que escribe, que publican sus cosas y también hablan de ese proceso de pensar, querer ayudar a varias personas y de tiempo para escribir cosas. Em, sí es muy inspirador ver eso y yo creo que pues, ahora es un buen momento aprovechar eso. Como que me están llegando mucho ese mismo mensaje de varios canales y eh, sí, y hay un apoyo de mucha gente. Eso estoy muy agradecido de eso. Yo creo que puede ser algo muy útil para eh, amigos, familiares, estudiantes, maestros. Yo creo que hay mucha gente que pueden beneficiar de estos aprendizajes. Ah, sí, eso es todo para ahorita. Y también ah, estoy viendo mis pies un poco amolados. Anoche estaba muy cansado, entonces por la primera noche no fui a dar un paseo en la noche y decidí que iba a caminar mucho más hoy. Entonces había como a mediodía como 6 kilómetros y hace rato con el atardecer hice un poquito más de 8. Entonces, como ya, yo creo que en total hoy como 14, pero sí logré alcanzar um, 43 kilómetros esta semana. Y desde el inicio del año, pues ya casi son como 148 kilómetros que he caminado donde vivo. Y pienso que puedo, um, si sigo haciendo eso de como un circuito que puede ser como 8 kilómetros y tengo cuidado con mis pies, am, yo creo que en 7 días puede ser ah, más de 50 kilómetros la próxima semana. Entonces eso, como ahorita quiero checar como qué es qué es el récord como de la gente que está caminando diario bueno, no para matar sus pies, pero como que se sientan ah, como bien y tienen buena condición y pueden aguantar eso sin como lastimarse. Estoy curioso ver qué son esos niveles. Bueno, eso es todo. Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, c'est euh, dimanche le 26 euh, janvier. Et ce matin, j'étais en train de faire une grasse mat et puis j'écrivais dans mon journal, dans mon euh, cahier avec des idées que j'ai envie d'écrire un livre. Et depuis un moment maintenant, je dis ça, mais je crois que je veux vraiment le réaliser. Il y a des idées qui m'arrivent de partout. euh, et donc, je crois que c'est un bon moment pour faire ça. Et quand je dis, je sais pas, un peu les chiffres à voix haute, il y a comment 30 ans d'apprendre des langues, 25 ans d'enseignement, 23 ans à l'étranger. Euh, donc, il y a des centaines, presque même des milliers d'étudiants que j'ai enseignés, euh, qui viennent de partout dans le monde. Euh, il y a des petits trucs, des astuces que j'ai enseignées avec tout le monde et des petites histoires. Euh, j'ai envie de mettre la- les meilleurs dans un livre pour la motivation, l'inspiration, des conseils, des choses que j'ai appris en tant que prof, en tant qu'apprenant, en tant qu'étranger à l'étranger, euh, ou immigrant à l'étranger. Donc, il y a plein de trucs à réfléchir. Et je crois que c'est vraiment un bon moment pour faire ça. Et je réfléchis aussi de pourquoi je n'ai pas pu faire ça avant. Et je crois que maintenant, il y a des choses des, je me rends compte de ça. Oui, voilà. Euh, oui, c'est tout. Et aussi cette semaine, là, aujourd'hui, je viens de marcher comment 14 kilomètres, 6 et puis 8. Donc j'ai un peu les pieds en campote là, mais j'ai réussi à atteindre 40 kilomètres cette semaine. Et j'espère peut-être la prochaine semaine, ça fait 50, si je ne fais pas une bêtise. Euh, et si je comment, prends soin. Euh, mais ce sont des trucs qui me poussent à voir mes extrêmes. Jusqu'où puis-je aller? Euh, Ça, c'est quelque chose que je veux tous les jours voir. Donc, jusqu'où, jusqu'où puis-je y aller? Voilà. Hallo an alle. Heute ist Sonntag, der 26. Tag im Januar. Und ähm, heute Morgen habe ich spät äh, aufgestanden und ich habe mit meinem Kaffee geschrieben und ich möchte wirklich ein Buch zu schreiben dieses Jahr. Ich sehe viele Aufnahmen von andere Leute, andere mm, ja, Leute. Ich denke, dass jetzt ist ein guter Moment für ein Buch zu schreiben. Und auch es gibt mehr als 30 Jahre mit den Fremdsprachen, äh, 25 Jahre mit Lehren, äh, 23 Jahre in Ausländer ähm, und und ich habe mit vielen Leuten die Stunde die, auf Englisch zum Beispiel und auf andere Fremdsprachen. Ich denke, dass dieses Buch kann hilfreich sein. Ja, äh, und auch diese Woche habe ich ähm, mehr als 40 Kilometer spazieren gegangen. Und vielleicht kann ich die nächste Woche 50, ähm, vielleicht. Und jeden Tag denke ich ein bisschen, wo, wohin, wohin lang ist, kann ich gehen mit meiner Herausforderung und andere Dinge. Ja, das ist alles für heute. Ciao a tutti, oggi è il giorno 26 e parlo un po', no, 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 non è un po', ho parlato molto in inglese, ma parlo un po' eh, di oggi. Stamattina quando avevo bevuto caffè, ho scritto che voglio fare un libro. E ci sono molte cose di 30 anni per imparare le lingue straniere, 25 anni per insegnare, 23 anni abitare in altri paesi e lavorare con moltissimi studenti. Ehm, Ci sono molte cose che voglio convertire in un libro. È anche possibile che ho bisogno di più di un libro. Ehm, Voglio fare questo quest'anno. Eh, e oggi ho andato molto, 14 km e con questo più di 40 km in questa settimana. E voglio continuare a vedere um, dove posso andare, eh, letteral e figurativo, ecco, con un libro, con sfida, per esempio. Questo è tutto. Всем привет! Сегодня воскресенье, 26 января. И сегодня утром, когда я начал день, я писал в тетради, что я хочу делать, я хочу написать книгу, потому что сейчас это больше, чем 30 лет, что я изучаю иностранные языки, также это 25 лет, что я преподаватель, и 23 года, что я живу в разных странах. И также я работаю с много студентами. И я хочу, а, иметь идеи в книге, и думаю, что это может помогать а, много людей, студенты, преподавательницы, ам, друзья, так далее. Я хочу делать это. И также сегодня я погулял почти 14 километров. И сейчас это больше, чем 40 километров в неделю. И я хочу делать 50 километров в следующей неделе. Это все на сегодня. Большое спасибо. Пока. Э,